in his 50s. We'll move on to the next story. The next story I want to talk about was the Teamster thing. And so in Michigan, they repealed right to work. That's like a week or two ago. And it was a big thing because they did that and they reprised the old wage system. So wages instantly went up for all these construction workers in Michigan. I know we've talked about that before, which is like, yeah, if anybody needs a wage growth, it's freaking Detroit, right? That city needs help bad. So this was a great move,
right?
But there's been a lot of pushback. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say they've been in rough shape for a long time, so it'd be nice to see them get a leg up there.
Yeah, I would love to see Michigan get back on its feet. Start building more cars there and stuff. But anyway, so that was a big move for Michigan, but there's a lot of pushback from conservatives because they don't like this idea of unionization. And so there was a big argument that happened in the Senate where they had a Teamster, and I'm going to show you this. The senator goes at the Teamster, and the Teamster comes right back at him. And we're going to watch this on Chris Hayes. And Chris Hayes is going to cover a little bit of it, but we're going to watch this because it's pretty funny.
The working class against the woke elites. It's an illusion that conveniently obscures the actual class and material interests at play. GOP remains reliably a party wholly devoted to the bosses. We got to watch this whole narrative implode on itself in real time today in Washington. The president of the Teamsters was testifying before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma, who used to own a plumbing company, tried to grandstand.
Union pipe fitters decided they were going to come after us. They would show up at my house. They'd be leaning up against my trucks. I'm not afraid of a physical confrontation. In fact, sometimes I look forward to it. When that didn't work, they started picketing our job sites, saying, shame on Mullin. Shame on Mullin. For what? For what? Because we were paying higher wages? Because we had better benefits and we wasn't requiring them to pay your guys' exorbitant salaries? You talk about CEOs that are making all this money? And what do you make, Mr. O'Brien?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I know what you make, because in 2019, your salary was, what is this, $193,000? I'm sure you got some pay raises since then.
Yeah, when I was
and the average UPS driver, the feeder driver, makes $35,000 a year. And what do you bring?
That's inaccurate.
Hold on a second.
That's inaccurate. State
facts.
I've got
it right here.
State facts. That's inaccurate.
The average UPS feeder driver makes $35,000. If you don't know your facts, then maybe you should.
I know them because I negotiate the contract.
So I say one thing to you. What do you bring for that salary?
What do I bring?
Yeah. What job have you committed, or have you started? What job have you created? One job, other than sucking a paycheck.
Okay, so let's just take a break here for a sec. So, yeah, I know. So yeah, like I said, he's trying to grandstand on this whole thing, right? Like you, the union, are bad, right? What he's missing is one, the guy who's talking about this, he actually started this whole diatribe with how he started from nothing. No, less than nothing. And started his own business and worked his way up. Now, we've talked about this kind of guy before. In fact, he inherited his business from his dad. And he sold his business recently for $31 million.
Whoa.
So this I came from nothing crap. It's crap. I mean...
Well, that's just a person of the people right there.
I know.
It's definitely my life experience. Yours too, right, Duncan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's less than nothing when you inherit a $30-something million business, right? Anyway, so the Teamster guy, he's bitching about the price of the UPS drivers. It's actually a lot higher. It's close to like $90-$95 is what a lot of the feeder drivers are making. And the reason we know that is because the Teamster he's yelling at, the bald guy with the glasses that he's yelling at, that guy negotiated the contract. Personally, that's what he gets paid to do as a Teamster. So he knows what those guys make. He negotiated it. He was the guy that signed the contract, the agreement.
Well, isn't that terrible wage that is being cited? The wage if you aren't a union member.
Right. That's right. That's why it's dishonest.
The union members make way more than that. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the point. So it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he said, well, the average of everybody maybe, but not of the union workers. The union workers make almost 3 times that. So, I mean, the whole thing is just bullshit grandstanding, but it's really funny because here's what he doesn't get. This guy's the president of the Teamsters. If you know anything about unions, right? Unions, the way it works is we all have to join the union. We all pay the fee, right? And the union is there to basically protect the employee, to fight for higher wages for you, for time off, for sick leave, to make sure you get that. You get legal help. They hire attorneys, right? All kinds of stuff, medical, childcare. They fight for these things, but you have to have lawyers and you have to negotiate. And it's a battle. They are basically, you're paying them to fight with your boss, right? Which is difficult for you to as an employee because you're afraid of getting fired because there's a power disparity. But if there's a union there to be a dick, they're basically the in-between, right? And so you basically pay the union to be assholes and to be pushy and negotiate hard.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather pay somebody else to be the asshole for me.
Why you hire a lawyer?
Yeah, I mean, it's why you hire a lot of people. Like there are a lot of professionals whose job it is basically to go in and be the bitch, so you don't have to.
Yeah, I do contract negotiations, and I get to be the asshole because I don't have a personal relationship with the person we're negotiating with. But my business partner or my client might want to, but their whole thing is, well, but I got to go with what my advisor tells me. And then the person just thinks, oh, well, Duncan's a dick. But they still love my client. My client still got the deal they wanted.
Right.
That's why you have that. Right. But that's what this guy doesn't get. So you're going to try and be pushy on a Teamster, a guy who gets paid to fight with you, people just like you, for a living, and has been doing it forever. I don't know how he thinks he's already did his macho. I don't mind physical confrontation. I'm a tough guy. Huh? You want to go outside? Brah.
Sometimes I kind of like it.
Brah.
I kind of like it. What is this? I feel like this is what I see in the hallway at school. Right after you said this thing on social media, something starts to happen in the classroom.
I got to get macho. I got to flex. I got to whip out this guy.
Apparently, it's still happening in the government.
Gotta whip him out, man. You gotta know how.
I often tell my students that it does not get less dramatic when you're an adult. It just the topic sort of changes a little.
Yeah, it just seems stupider the older I get. But anyway.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, let's finish him up here, but this is really dumb.
Out of somebody else that you want to say that you're trying to provide because you're forcing them to pay dues?
No, we don't force them.
Senator, you've asked the
You're out of line.
Let him
man.
answer
Actually, I
the
have been,
question.
and don't tell me I'm out of
You
line.
are out of line.
Don't tell me I'm out of line.
Well, you framed,
don't tell me. I'm making
you
a
framed the statement.
You shut your mouth because you don't know what you're
Tell me to
talking
shut my
about.
mouth.
Yes, I did.
Hold it.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Tough
Yeah.
guy. I'm not
Shut it
afraid
up.
of physical.
Hold it.
But don't sit there and tell me I'm out of line.
Senator, you made a statement. You asked the question.
I didn't ask a question.
You did.
You did.
I answered the question.
You asked the question.
Well, it was rhetorical.
Let him answer.
It was a rhetorical
Well,
question.
you may think it's rhetorical.
It was
Sounded to me like a question. Let him answer the question.
I'm not yielding my time to him. So if you're going to let me keep my time, that's fine.
You'll have your time. Let him. You ask the question. He has a right to answer that.
As far as my salary goes, my salary, if you follow me around, I actually look at this building. I bet you I work more hours than you do. Twice as many hours.
That's impossible. But
No, that's true.
sir, you don't know what hard work is. You want to follow the schedule.
Secondly, I'll do it in a
follow.
minute.
That's
We
not.
hold greedy CEOs
That's
like yourself
not-
accountable.
You call me a greedy CEO.
Oh yeah, you are. You want to attack my salary? I'll attack yours.
Here,
What
go
did you
ahead.
make? What did you make when you owned your company?
When I made my company, I kept my salary down at about $50,000 a year because I invested every penny into it.
Okay. All right. You mean you hid money?
Oh,
So I love that because that's total bullshit. Because even if he kept it at 50, he made 31 on the back. He invested the money. So it's not like he was, it's not like he wasn't paying himself, even if that was the case. And even
Right.
then, look at that guy.
Right.
There's no way that guy was paying himself only 50. Just look at him. There's no way. But yeah, no. So this is kind of the whole big fight that's been going on right now, and it's pretty much started with the whole after COVID, with the quiet quitting situation, or as they called it. What it really was is, or the great resignation, as they called it too. What it really was is just people realizing they're underpaid, and they really didn't need to live like that. And now it's this whole thing about, well, people want more money. They're asking for more wages. Now, granted, it hasn't kept up with inflation, but it is the biggest wage growth we've seen since, the 80s? Since it's flattened out. I mean, wages have been pretty flat for the last 40 years. And so, I mean, it needed to, but it's pissing off companies because they're so used to the profit growth of keeping wages way down and having us work harder and be more productive while paying us the exact same. Right? And now that people are going, screw that, I want more money. And now all of a sudden, this whole thing, all these right to work stuff that got pushed in the 90s to get rid of unions is all being, a lot of it's being repealed, and people want unions and want to unionize. Right? You've had those problems with the train union, and Biden had to step in, and Biden was kind of a dick about it and kind of quash the union. But it's also the same thing with like Amazon trying to quash the union, Walmart trying to quash unionization, Starbucks trying to quash unionization. This is a big fight that's going on right now to go back to having unions again, having the ability to negotiate for your wage instead of being completely beholden to your employer. And that's the big
Well,
fight.
quite frankly, people are sick to death of being screwed in their wages. The price of every single thing, people's rents are going up and their property tax are going up, so that if their mortgage is something they have, then the price of that's going up through their property tax, and they're not getting paid more.
Right. Well, I think it's time that the American worker got a little bit more, not greedy, but realistic, and said, look, this sucks. I should be getting paid more. And I'm not going to work until I get paid more or until we work something out, right? And I think the Americans in general have been pushed down so much that they've just